So, good day, everyone. So, for today, we were going to discuss interest rates. At the same time, i-discuss din natin how to calculate the yield to maturity for the four types of credit market instruments. Namely, the simple loan, fixed payment loan, coupon bond, and discount bond. So, if you still remember, na-discuss natin sa nakaraang video itong four types of credit market instruments. So for today, i-discuss naman natin how to calculate for the yield of maturity. So let's start with, with present value. So ano ba ang present value? I know that you are all familiar with what present value is. So ito ay na-discuss na during your FMGT 50 class, time value of money. At the same time then, kung kayo ay nakapag-take na ng business mathematics or mathematics of investment, ito ay nadaanan nyo na rin. So basically, sabi kapag pinag-usapan natin ng present value, a dollar paid to you 1 year from now is less valuable than a dollar paid to you today. Dahil nga meron tayong tinatawag na time value of money, yung 100, for example, 100 pesos mo ngayon ay hindi nakagaya or hindi na same ng value ng 100 pesos for the next years. So, nagbabago kasi ang value ng pera natin, nag-iiba rin ang purchasing power ng pera. So, yan. So, discounting the future. If you still remember, kung kayo estudyante ko before, when we talk about discounting, it is just the technical term for finding out the present value. Meron tayong video discussion about dyan. So, move on na ako sa next slide. So, simple present value. How to compute for the simple present value of a loan per se. So, this these items or terms that we should have to remember. So, PV stands for present value, today's present value. CF stands for future cash flow. Ito yung equal payments natin or payment natin every year, for example. Then I is the interest rate. So, ang formula natin is PV or present value is equals to future cash flow or CF all over the quantity of 1 plus I raised to N. So, ang I natin stands for the rate. Ang N natin, hindi pala nalagay dito, ang N natin is for the terms. So, kung ito ay 5 years, so 5 yung N natin. Kung ito ay payable for 3 years, so 3 yan. So, ang I naman natin is the rate. Kung 12% yan, 5% or 10%, so dito natin siya i-input. So, possible then, if you still remember sa mathematics of investment, ang I natin is equals to rate over the number of compounding periods. So, ito sa mga mas komplikadong given na, for example, ikino-compound na natin siya or for 1 year, 4 times kang magbabayad. So, papasok na doon yung rate over M natin na equivalent din sa I. So, that's a simple present value. So now, let's proceed to the four types of credit market instruments again. So meron tayong apat na na-discuss last time. We have simple loan, the fixed payment loan, the coupon bond, and the discount bond. So, what is yield to maturity? The interest rate that equates the present value of cash flow payments received from a debt instrument with its value today. So, paano nga ba kinu-compute ang yield to maturity ng isang simple loan? So, for simple loans, the simple interest rate is equals the yield to maturity. So, sa simple loan natin, tandaan nyo that the simple interest rate ay equivalent sa ating yield to maturity. So, babalik lang tayo sa basic formula natin kanina. So, present value is equals to cash flow over the quantity of 1 plus I raised to N. So, ang hahanapin natin dito is the I. So, yung value ng I. So, magkakaroon lang tayo ng konting transposition. Ililipat lang natin ito Itong nandito sa baba natin, sa ating left side. So, ito na yung magiging formula natin. A quantity of 1 plus I times PV is equals to CF. And we'll proceed to the computation at mag-a-arrive tayo sa 10% or 0.10 or 10%. So, ang 10% natin is our simple interest rate at the same time, the yield to maturity. Tandaan natin, again, na in simple loan, the simple interest rate is equivalent or equals to the yield to maturity. So, madali lang ang computation natin ng yield to maturity sa ating simple loan. So, mag-proceed naman tayo sa yield to maturity ng ating fixed payment loan. So, ang formula ng fixed payment loan natin for the yield to maturity is different sa formula natin kanina sa simple loan. So, the same cash flow payment every period throughout the life of the loan. So, may mga items ulit tayong kailangan tandaan. LV stands for loan value. FP is equals to fixed yearly payment. N is equals to number of years until maturity. So, paano siya kino-compute? This is the formula. So, loan value is equals to fixed yearly payment all over or divided by 1 plus I. So, ang first equation natin, FP over 1 plus I. So, yung I natin is for the rate for the first year. So, i-continue natin yan plus same formula. Pag second year na, i-erase na natin sa 2, i-erase na natin sa 3, on the third year, and so forth. So, continuous yung ating magiging formula niyan. For example, the loan amount or the loan term is about 10 years to pay. So, FP1 plus I plus FP1 plus over 1 plus I raised to 2 plus FP over 1 plus I raised to 3, plus tapos hanggang sa makarating tayo sa FP over 1 plus I raised to 10. So, that's the formula. Okay, don't worry. Hindi naman po ako magbibigay ng complex computation sa ating exam. I just want you to learn these topics para kahit na paano ay alam nyo. For example lang, ma-encounter nyo itong mga ganitong problem in real life, alam nyo siya kung paano nyo siya maiko-compute. So, pero in the midterms, hindi ko muna ibibigay yung mga komplikadong computation. Okay? Now, let's proceed to the coupon bond yield to maturity. So, using the same strategy used for fixed payment loan, same concept ang coupon bond natin dun sa fixed payment loan. Almost same lang yung magiging formula natin. So, magkakaiba-iba lang sa mga terms na gagamitin natin. So, same concept lang din siya. P is for the price of the coupon bond. C is for the yearly coupon payment. F is for the face value of the bond. And N is equals to years to maturity date. Okay? So, same lang din ng concept natin sa fixed payment loan. If you look at it, so nagkaroon lang tayo ng distinction in terms of the terms and yung mga items na ginamit. Dahil dito, pinag-uusapan na natin is coupon bond or coupon bond. So, when the coupon bond is priced at its face value, the yield to maturity equals the coupon rate. So, nakalagay dito again, sabi dito, kapag daw ang coupon bond natin, so itong computation na to is applicable for bonds. So, when the coupon bond is priced at its face value, again, the yield to maturity is equals the coupon rate or yung rate natin. The price of a coupon bond and the yield to maturity are negatively related, and the yield to maturity is greater than the coupon rate when the bond price is below its face value. Again, the yield to maturity, tandaan nyo, is greater than the coupon rate So, mas mataas daw ang yield to maturity if the bond or the bond price is below its face value. So, sabi natin kanina, the price of the bond and the yield to maturity is negatively related. Meaning to say, kapag mataas yung price ng bond natin, bababa ang yield to maturity. Tingnan natin dito sa example natin. Yield to maturity na 10% coupon rate bond maturing in 10 years. So, the face value is 1,000. So, ang price of the bond natin, for example, is 1,200. But the yield to maturity is 7.13%. But look at this one, sa last natin. The price of the bond is much lower, 800. And the yield to maturity natin is 13.81. So, nakikita natin dito that the price of the bond is negatively related or affected the yield to maturity. So, again, ito naman. The yield to maturity daw is greater than the coupon rate when the bond price is below its face value. Let's check. So, the yield to maturity is greater than the coupon rate if the bond price is below its face value. So, tingnan natin, the price of the bond, for example, is 900. Ang face value natin is 1,000. Tignan nyo, mas mataas ang yield to maturity natin compared dun sa ating fixed coupon rate. Nakikita nyo yung relationship nila. Kapag mababa ang price of the bond, sa face value, mas mataas yung yield to maturity natin compared doon sa ating coupon rate. And when the bond is priced same as sa face value natin, magkapareho ang ating coupon rate at ang ating yield to maturity. So, yun yung mga concepts. Kapag daw pareho ang ating price ng bond at ang face value natin, ang ating yield to maturity at ang ating coupon rate ay magkapareho. Let's see. Face value natin is 1,000, price of the bond natin is 1,000. So, ang yield to maturity natin is 10 and our coupon rate is 10% din. So, this table explains the concept of yield to maturity of the coupon bond. So, tandaan nyo lang din itong relationship ng ating coupon bond at ng ating yield to maturity. And then, may tinatawag tayong perpetuity or console. So, ano ba itong perpetuity na to? So, when we talk about perpetuity, it is a bond with no maturity date. So, perpetual siya, wala siyang katapusan. So, a bond with with no maturity date that does not repay principal but pays fixed coupon payments forever, di ba? Sa perpetuity may forever. So, perpetuity yung term na tawag natin sa bond na walang maturity date pero kailangan mo magbayad ng fixed coupon payments forever. So, skip ko na itong ibang part dito. Then, last but not the least is the discount bond yield to maturity. So for any 1-year discount bond, so ito yung formula. Simple lang yung formula if the discount bond is good for a year lang. So, I is equals to F minus P all over P, where F is the face value of the discount bond. Pardon me with my dog. Okay, ayan, tahimik na ulit yung mga dogs ko. So, F, again, is the face value of the discount bond. P is the current price of the discount bond. And, ayan, ayan yung ibig sabihin ng F and P. Then, the yield to maturity is equals the increase in price over the year divided by the initial price. As with the coupon bond, the yield to maturity is negatively related to the current, putol pala siya, to the current bond price. So, again, as with the coupon bond daw, the yield to maturity is negatively related to the current bond price. So, for example, parang kanina lang din, sa diniscuss ko kanina, kapag mataas ang price ng coupon bond, so, the current bond price is low. So, vice versa, when the coupon bond is low, then the current bond price is high. So it is negatively related. So what if naman, um, wait, okay. What if naman yung yield natin is on a discount basis? So less accurate daw but less difficult to calculate, where I is equals to F minus P over F times 360 over days to maturity, where I sub DB is equals to yield on a discount basis. So ito ay discounted basis na. F is of course the face value of, for example, the treasury bill, and P is equals the purchase price of the discount bond. So it uses the percentage gain of the face value, puts the yield on an annual basis using 360 instead of 365 days, always understates the yield to maturity, then the understatement becomes more severe the longer the maturity. So bakit nagkakaroon siya ng understatement? Dahil ang ginagamit natin is only 360 days instead of 365 days. And kapag ito ay mas mahaba yung maturity, syempre, mas mag-a-adjust din ang ating term na gagamitin. So, that's the... Ay, ano nangyari? Sorry. Ito yung cut ko. Wait lang. Wait, for a while, pause ko. So, ayan. Ayan po yung computation, again, ng apat nating, wait, ayan. Yung cut ko kasi. Sorry talaga. So, ayan po yung computation ng apat nating mga credit market instruments. So, mag-move forward na tayo sa ating another topic, which is about rate of return. So, ito ay under pa rin ng mga interest rates natin. Akala natin yung mga interest rates ay sobrang simple lang. Ito lang yung simple interest and all. Pero marami pang mga subtopics under interest rates. So, rate of return naman tayo. So, ano naman ang meron sa rate of return? So, the payments to the owner plus the change in value expressed as a fraction of the purchase price. So, RET, or stands for rate of return, is equals to C over P plus, sorry, maliit siya, P minus P over P sub 1. So, ito naman yung mga ibig sabihin ng mga letters natin dito. RET is return from holding the bond from time to time plus 1. So, time 1 plus time plus 1. Then, price, or P is for the price of the bond at time. P sub 1 plus 1. P sub T plus 1 yan, sorry, medyo maliit lang, is equals to price of the bond at a time plus 1. Then C is for the coupon payment, C over P is the current yield, then yung yield natin na tinatawag yung I natin, and itong formula na ito na masyadong maliit, sorry, hindi ko din siya masyadong mabasa, is the rate of capital gain. So, rate of return. So, iwanan na muna natin yung parang pinaka-formula niya, mag-focus muna tayo sa kung saan siya ginagamit, saan ba siya ina-apply, ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng rate of return natin. So, the return equals the yield to maturity only if the holding period equals the time to maturity. So, a rise in interest rates is associated with a fall in bond prices. Again, kapag tumaas ang ating interest rates, bumababa ang ating bond prices, resulting in a capital loss if time to maturity is longer than the holding period. The more distant a bond's maturity, the greater the size of the percentage price percentage price change associated with the interest rate change. Again, kapag mataas ang interest rate, asahan na natin na yung bond prices natin ay bababa. And ito ay magre-result sa capital loss, lalo na kung mas mahaba ang ating holding period. Then, okay, the more distant a bond's maturity, the lower the rate of return that occurs as a result of an increase in the interest rate. Even if a bond has a substantial initial interest rate, its return can be negative if interest rates rise. Again, even if a bond has a substantial initial interest rate. So, its return can be negative if interest rate rise. So, nakadepende ang prices ng bond natin sa ating interest rate. So, if you are planning, for example, to invest in bonds, so apply lang natin siya ng sa totoong buhay. Kapag tumaas ang interest rate, ay, ayun nga, magkakaroon siya ng negative return sa ating bonds. So what are the risks of interest rate? Prices and returns for long-term bonds are more volatile than those for shorter-term bonds. There is no interest rate risk for any bond whose time to maturity matches the holding period. So, if the time of maturity is equals to the holding period, wala tayong masyadong risk may encounter. Pero, kapag mahaba um, ang ating holding period or ang ating expected return for our bonds, it is more volatile compared doon sa ating mga shorter term bonds. So, mas risky pala ang ating mga long-term bonds compared sa ating mga short-term bonds. So, ayan. Meron din tayong tinatawag na real and nominal rates or real and nominal interest rates. Ano nga ba ang nominal? Ano ang real? So, nominal interest rate makes no allowance for inflation. So, meanwhile, real interest rate is adjusted for changes in price level so it more accurately reflects the cost of borrowing. For example, ante-real interest rate is adjusted for expected changes in the price level. Pag sinabi ng ating ante, ito yung nauna. So, before. So, pre-real interest rate. And post-real interest rate is adjusted for actual changes in the price level. What happened? Ayan. Okay. So, we have this Fisher equation pero hindi ko na siya masyadong i-discuss sa inyo. Balik lang tayo dito sa real and nominal interest rate. So, balik lang tayo ulit dito ha. When we talk about real interest rate, so, it is adjusted to remove the effects of inflation and gives the real rate of a bond or loan. So, ina-adjust natin ang real interest rate natin para makapag-adjust ito or makapagbawas kahit pa paano sa effect ng inflation. A nominal interest rate naman refers to the interest rate before taking inflation into account. So, nauuna ang nominal interest rate natin before the real interest rate. So, before nating i-consider yung inflation, ito na yung nominal interest rate. After considering the inflation and all, i-adjust na natin yan. Itong adjusted interest rate is also known as the real interest rate. So, to calculate for the real interest rate, you need to subtract the actual or expected rate of inflation from the nominal interest rate. So, tandaan nyo lang na kapag nominal, ito ay before inflation pa at hindi tayo makakapag-adjust. Ang real interest rate naman natin, ito na yung adjusted. In-adjust na natin siya to cope up with the inflation. Okay? Yun lang naman ang ating real and nominal interest rate. So, meron pa tayo ditong Fisher, dito sa slide natin, Fisher equation, pero skip na lang muna natin siya for now. Next, na lang natin siya kasi medyo komplikado na to at masyado na ring marami ang ating i-input. So, ayun na lang pala yung last. So, ayan yung ating some sort of computation sa ating second chapter. Though, mas importante na maintindihan nyo lang kung saan-saan siya ginagamit. At the same time, balik lang ako sa pinaka-first slide. Ayan. Kung saan ba ginagamit ang simple loan, ano ba ang formula niya, so ano ang significance ng mga formulang to, mas magandang intindihin natin siya. So, wala tayong complex computation, hindi ako magbibigay ng complex computation sa ating midterm examination. So, that's it for this video. Thank you, everyone.